All right, what is up, fellas? We're gonna do a video on the air ride system on this bike. A lot of you guys don't know how full fast air ride work. Is it beneficial? How does it ride? So figure talk about on this and give you the explanation of what it is. First thing is first, it's dirty air, full fast air ride. Dirty air started off like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer. And I remember when they first came out, they were I was like, who are these idiots that are just gonna sell air ride kits? That's stupid. You're never gonna make any money, when obviously they are killing it right now and have been killing it. I'm the idiot, but this is their full fast air ride system. Same thing back then, we were using car stuff, car shocks, car solenoids, all like for solenoids, bigger solenoids for cars, whatnot. Now everything's been integrated and designed for baggers, and they've been doing it for a hot minute. We don't have any issues. They have a special design shock and everything for the rear, pucks for the inside and the front. But it's full fast air ride, meaning that it's front air ride and rear air ride, and it has an electric center stand by MRI. That's separate, but it has a tank. So this side has a compressor, this side has a tank. Compressor fills the tank. That allows it to keep that pressure in there and bump it up fast, so you're not sitting there waiting for it to raise up on a regular cheap system. In the front, it has these little bump stops right here that you pile up, and basically you don't see them. They're in the fork can, and you set your height so that way when you do bottom out, if it airs out or anything, it hits these rubber stops and doesn't hit. This on a stock bike won't matter because there's a gap in between the fairing and the fender, whereas you do a big wheel, we can make them slam and they will hit, so you have to run these. So it's not as important here, but it does help in general. And then inside has internal pistons that basically has air over fluid. That is the front setup. The rear is just, like I said, their design shock, and then, you know, no big deal. You have 4 switches when it comes to it. So you have your front up and down and your rear up and down switches. You have your center stand switch, and then we have this big dude right here, which is a dump valve, AKA a safety valve. If you don't know what that is, if you've seen the videos from wherever, they pop up everywhere where you shows a bike just lift up in the middle of the night and fall over. Well, that's because in those solenoids themselves, they might have had dirt in there and got clogged, and that valve stuck open. So basically that air creeped out and into the system, and it gradually just raised the bike up a little bit at a time till eventually it fell off the center stand. This is a safety valve, and we call it a dump valve, which I'll explain later. But basically what that does is create a safety, meaning if now, I should say it creates a leak in the system or a hole in the system. You've now opened that valve right there, and it's allowing air to escape. So if I hit the air ride switch right now, you hear a leak. That's what that is. It's just blowing out there instead of going into the system. So that's there. If that happens, it would just leak out and nothing would happen to the bike. So what do I want to do when I raise it? I'm going to close that valve right here, flip that guy up. I have my front and my rear air ride. I always raise the rear first, because that takes more air pressure to raise the rear, and the front doesn't take much. So you don't want to do the front first, because then the rear just goes a little slower. But I'll hit the rear. I grab the bike, hit the rear. Hit the front, you hear the compressor kick on. Compressor is gonna kick off here in a minute. It fills up, it gets to that certain PSI, and then shuts off. So it just shut off, it's filled up, so we're ready to go in case the next time you hit it, you need to adjust it. Yes, you can adjust this on the fly, but the next step right before we did that is we wanna hit the center stand, which you might pick up on the mic, but I know by sound. You can see the center stand. I don't know if it shows in the video, but the center stand is now raised up. So now we're ready to rock, ready to go. We're cruising. You can adjust it on the fly, like I said. So if I need to, air down in the back, air down in the front, get that travel that we need, then we're good to go. All right, so you're cruising, you came to your stop, your next stop, wherever it is. You can kill the ignition, so I'll just turn it off all the way. Kill the ignition, just turn it off when you park. You don't need it running. I always do that so you can actually hear it. So I'm gonna get the center stand down first. I hear that, and that means it stopped. And then basically grab the bike, and you're gonna flip that dump switch, which is the safety valve, which acts as a dump switch now, because instead of having to hit the front and the rear air ride buttons, you can just flip that dump switch. Let it slam down, give it a shake. Always make sure you're on a flat surface, especially on your center stand, and basically walk away, you're good. And the other good thing about air ride is, in general, you're never gonna be able to steal a bike that's on full fast air ride on a center stand. because it's literally on dead weight. You would have to basically get some kind of air in it to move it, and then you'd be okay, but you'd have to get it off the center stand first to give air in the system. There's no way to do it unless you have like the power on and everything. So it would take a few minutes for someone to rig that up. But that's kind of the cool part about having full fast air ride on a center stand. It acts as another safety in the fact of getting it stolen. They ride, once you find that sweet spot, they'll ride great. You don't have any issues with them. If you throw a passenger on back, you put a little more air in it. If you want more travel in the front, you can, same thing, adjust it on the go. Anybody that's we've done a crap ton of air ride systems from Dirty Air here. Within 30, 40 minutes, you're used to it. It's not hard. People get really intimidated about it, especially on a big wheel, stretched out full bike. That's when you would have to worry on the rear, because your bags are so far back and down that if you do take a curve too low or something, you can grind it and scratch the bag. But as far as a stock bike like this or any stock bike, you're never gonna have to worry about any of that, so there's no issues. But that's it. So if you wanna win this bike, just make sure you go to fbombbaggers.com right now, because we're doing 500 times entries per dollar spent, and we're double entering in you to F-Bomb giveaway number 9 automatically. So head there, because this Sunday at midnight, it's over officially. All right, peace.